It's one thing to want to come to Canada. It's another thing to know what province to settle in. One of the factors that determine what province people eventually choose when they come to Canada is the minimum wage, which is a reflection of the cost of living in that province. 6 Canadian provinces have increased their minimum wages starting October 1st, and I'm here in this video to talk about those changes. Stay tuned. The way I see Canada, it's like having different individual countries all together in one big country. This is because each province is powerful enough to make their own laws and generate revenue with very little or no help from the federal government. So if you have two people, one living in Ontario and the other living in British Columbia, for instance, even though they are both living in Canada, they are subject to different laws, they will enjoy different benefits, and they will have different experiences entirely. Even the weather in both provinces are so different, it will feel like you're living in two different countries. So unlike most countries, minimum wage in Canada varies from province to province, and it's set by the provinces and not by the federal government. Before I get into the topic of today, my name is Toby. I'm a Nigerian Canadian based in the city of Calgary, Alberta. I make videos like this where I talk about life in Canada and what I've experienced in my few years of living here. If you'll be coming to live here anytime in the future, or you're just curious to know what life here feels like, you may want to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notifications so you don't miss any of the videos I make. You can also go on my channel and watch other videos I've made about life in Canada. I'm sure you'll find one or two of them very interesting. Thank you. So what is minimum wage? Minimum wage basically is the lowest amount a worker is entitled to per hour of work here in Canada. It's supposed to be the amount that is enough for a person to survive on a month-to-month basis, but that's usually not the case. That's where living wage comes in. The living wage is a practical amount that is needed to actually survive in a certain city or province in Canada. Ideally, the minimum wage should be a living wage, but with the present state of the nation and with the massive inflation everywhere, there is a bit of a gap between the minimum wage and the living wage. In Alberta, where I currently live, the minimum wage stands at $15 per hour, whereas experts say the living wage is somewhere around $21 per hour. So ideally, you need a job that would pay you around $21 to live properly on a month-to-month basis here in Alberta, where I live. So as long as you are 18 years of age and over, no employer would pay you less than $15. No employer should pay you less than $15. Let me put it that way. However, if you're under 18 years of age and you're a student, you can be paid less. And in Alberta, the minimum wage for students under 18, I think, is about $13 per hour. If you follow the news, you must have heard that there's crazy inflation in Canada right now. And this is making it so difficult for people to afford what they could easily afford a few years ago. The different provinces have been contemplating increasing minimum wages across board to help cushion the effect of rising inflation, and thankfully some provinces have gone ahead to implement these changes. So if you'll be coming to Canada and your destination is either Ontario, Manitobas, Saskatchewan, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, or Newfoundland and Labrador, any of these 6 provinces I just mentioned, you're in luck, because these provinces just increased their minimum wages, and that's such a good news. I have a photo on the screen right now, and this shows the minimum wages of different provinces and territories in Canada prior to October 1. So this is what we used to have. I think I've shared this before in one of my previous videos. So these are the provinces we have, and you can see how much the minimum wage is for each province, or how much the minimum wage was before October 1st. So let's take a look at the 6 provinces that just increased their minimum wages and see what those differences are. Ontario's new minimum wage, which went into effect on October 1st, is $16.55 per hour. And this is a $1.05 increase from the $15.50 an hour which it was before. According to the Ontario Living Wage Network, the living wage in many parts of Ontario is $19 per hour. So if you live in most parts of Ontario, you need to make at least $19 per hour to be able to live a proper life and to be able to manage yourself on a month-to-month basis. But if you live in the GTA, that's the Greater Toronto area, you would need the living wage is said to be around $23 per hour. So you need to make a little bit more. You need to get a better job and a better pay. And that's why people who live in the GTA or around downtown Toronto or all those expensive areas, they work like 2 jobs, or they try their best to get a very good job that pays them well. That's the way to survive in those areas. So take note, if you'll be moving to Canada and your destination is Ontario and you plan to live in the Greater Toronto area in the GTA, take note about this. Right now, the Labour supporters and members of opposition parties are fighting for the minimum wage to be at least $20 per hour. So it's likely in the coming 1 or 2 years there's going to be another increase. We shall see. Manitoba's new minimum wage, which went into effect on October 1st, is $15.30 per hour. And this is an increase of $1.15 from the current minimum wage of $14.15 per hour. This is actually the second time Manitoba is going to be increasing their minimum wage this year, 2023. As at last year, the minimum wage in Manitoba was $13.50, and now it's $15.30. So you can see the increase that has happened within just 1 year. As at last year, most people were running away from Manitoba because the minimum wage was so low at around $13. But now you can see how much more it has become. It's even higher than Alberta at the moment now, and making Albertans so jealous. It is also said that the wage will be revised by October next year, so we expect to see another raise, another increase by then. Nova Scotia has also increased their minimum wage for the second time this year to $15 per hour this time. So earlier this year, the minimum wage was at $13.60. Then in April, they increased it by $1.40 to $14.50. Now they are at $15 per hour, which is the same minimum wage we have in Alberta. It makes us so jealous. And I remember when I just came to Canada, Alberta sat at the very top, like at $15 per hour. It was like one of the best and the highest in the country. But now you can see like almost all the provinces are catching up, or they've caught up and they've surpassed Alberta. Now I don't know what's going on. Daniel Smith, if you're watching this video, that's our premiere. If you're watching this video, it's time for us to, do something. There's also a very high chance that Nova Scotia increases their minimum wage by next year, October 2. Saskatchewan have increased their minimum wage in the province by $1 from $13 to $14 per hour. So currently, this is the lowest minimum wage right now in the whole of Canada. But that doesn't mean Saskatchewan is the worst place or the worst province to live in. By the time you factor in the cost of living in Saskatchewan compared to a place like Ontario, which has a minimum wage of $16.55. You see the gap is there from $14 to $16.55. You may be better off living in Saskatchewan, honestly. You don't want to live in a place where you are getting paid more, but you are paying more in taxes and paying more to purchase basic stuff. So it's best you do your research. If you're coming to Canada, don't just say, oh, this place has low minimum wage, this place has high minimum wage, I'm going to the place with high minimum wage. That's not how it works. Do your research and then make sure you have your facts right. Ask people questions before you make that move. The last raise was done on October 1st, 2022, when the Saskatchewan government raised the minimum wage from $11.81 to $13 per hour. So that was quite a big jump in minimum wage that time. So it has been said that the minimum wage will further increase to $15 per hour on October 1st, 2024. Newfoundland and Labrador have also increased their minimum wage for the second time this year, 2023. Previously on April 1st of this year, just like Manitoba, the province of Newfoundland and Labrador, they raised their minimum wage to $14.50 from $13.70 per hour. The minimum wage in Prince Edward Island has increased by 50 cents from $14.50 to $15 per hour on October 1st. It's crazy that all these small provinces have caught up with Alberta, and it doesn't even look like we're even ready to raise our own minimum wage here. I heard on the news a few days ago that the premier isn't ready, the employers are not ready, and it's quite understandable, because if you are an employer in a small business and you hire people and you're paying them $15 per hour, you're not going to increase the price of your goods. So where are you going to get extra $1 or $2 to pay each of your staff per hour? I understand that part, but I think the government has to come in, because people need more money. It's not easy living on this kind of very little minimum wage. People need to have a living wage so they can survive in this province, in this country. Previously, Prince Edward Island increased their minimum wage by 80 cents on January 1st of this year to $14.50, because it was $13.70 an hour before. So in total, they've increased their minimum wage in 2023 this year by $1.30. That's quite a lot. So these 6 provinces have increased their minimum wage this month of October. It went into effect on October 1st. If you see on your screen now, you can see a table that shows the increases which have taken effect from October 1st. And you can see for provinces like British Columbia and Quebec, the estimated plan increase, which is to come into effect from next year. You can see places like Alberta and Nunavut, for instance, they haven't decided. That's why it's written TBD there. And hopefully, especially for Alberta where I live, hopefully they take initiative and something is done quickly so that the minimum wage too can be increased. Presently, the province with the highest minimum wage is British Columbia, and that is $16.75 per hour. and this is still expected to increase further by next year according to the information on ground. This is not strange because Vancouver is perhaps the most expensive city to live in Canada, so it's understandable that they have the highest minimum wage in the country. Many people have said these increases do not solve any problem. I heard on the news people are complaining that the inflation is still biting so hard, and this $1.30 or 50 cents increases are not doing any good. They are not going to help people. But I feel personally that the fact that the leaders are listening and at least they are attempting to do something in this current economic situation, I think they deserve to be applauded. More needs to be done for sure, but with this, I think they deserve to at least be applauded. So how do you feel about these new minimum wages? Does it change your mind about what province you plan to settle in? Would you like to live in a province like BC or Ontario, which have the highest minimum wages in the country, or you're just okay with living in a place like Saskatchewan or maybe, Manitoba or something? Let me know in the comment section what you think. That's what I thought to talk about today. If you found value in this video, please drop a like and share with someone that will benefit from it. I dropped a video the last time talking about picking the right community when you land in Canada. If you've not seen that video, there will be a link to the video at the end of this video, so do well to watch that one too. Thank you for making it to the end of this video today. Until I see you guys again next time, take care of yourself. Bye.